Welcome to the Best of the Immigration Answer Show. My name is Jim Hacking. I'm an immigration attorney, and we're happy to welcome you. And we want to say thank you to everyone who supports us on all our platforms, especially those who write to us on social media, follow us, and share their immigration stories with us. We're grateful to the community that we have built together and has inspired us to create this podcast. We hope you enjoy it. RT, hello.
Hello, Jim. How are you? Happy
Good.
Ramadan, and
Thank you.
wish you a good afternoon today.
Thank you so much.
I have a long journey with USCIS. I've been in the country since 1999.
Okay.
I applied for asylum after a year. I got withholded from movable, and I get married May 2012. I applied for I-130, and I didn't apply for 45 at the time under the advice of my lawyer. And I applied after I approved for I-130, 3.5 years after. I applied for motion.
Yep.
I got dismissal, and then in the process, the first hearing court judge ordered us to apply for I-45 to get fingerprinted.
Okay.
And update my address, which is I was doing anyway, but they asked for that. We did this. We came back. We got dismissal, and my I-485 was in archive somewhere for about a year. I did ask my Senate to did inquiry. They did inquiry, and they said, yeah, we're going to ask for the file to come to where I am. They did that, and they send us an email for evidence. Is that normal?
What did they ask for? An email request for evidence? No, that's not normal.
So yeah, so supervisor for USCIS, and they mail me and mail my lawyer, ask him for refresh signed I-485.
That means they lost it.
Does that mean I'm gonna start from
No.
scratch?
Did you file your 45 with the court or with USCIS?
We file it something called EOIR. I don't know what is that.
That's the court. Yeah. So
And
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So so we send all the paper. So they ask for refresh 485, tax return, G28 for me and my wife. That's I think for the lawyer to be presented by for us.
For you, yep. Mm-hmm. That's
And
right.
That was not long ago. That was like March 18. And my lawyer, like within 2 days, I prepare all my papers. I give it to the lawyer. He take it and he handed in. He was in the court already, and he handed in to that office.
Okay.
The question is, do I have to wait? How long I have to wait? Because I've been like a year and a half waiting for my interview.
Mm-hmm. Well, so it wouldn't be an interview; it'll be in court. So you'll adjust. It sounds like you're adjusting.
No, I'm not. The court doesn't want to do anything with me because.
Okay, so let me ask some questions real quick. Okay, so you got withholding of removal because you filed for asylum too late, right? And then you married a U.S. citizen, and you got an I-130 approved, which you filed separately without the 45, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And then after the I-130 was approved, your very good lawyer went to court, got your your removal order set aside, your withholding canceled, and then the plan was for you to adjust your status, right?
Yes.
And then and then you filed the 45 with the EOIR.
Yes.
Which is the court.
Yeah, but after that dismissal, she said, because my assignment was.
Hold on, that's what I want to ask about. So did you file the 45 before the court terminated proceedings, or did you file it with USCIS after? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Before the dismissal.
Okay. So then you file the 45, and then the court says, we're done with you. We're sending you over to USCIS to adjust that. Okay.
Exactly.
So what's the receipt? When did you file the 485?
January 17, 2024.
And
I got fingerprinted in February.
wait, hold on. When did the court terminate proceedings?
June 12, 2024.
Okay, good. And then you just said though that when you got the RFE for the refiled 485 and all the other stuff, you just said to me that he filed that with the court. Do you mean he was at USCIS and he gave it to them?
No, I didn't file to the court. I got an email from USCIS.
Okay. But you said he dropped it off somewhere, right?
Yeah, in the USCIS.
At USCIS. Okay. In which field office is this, brother?
Newark.
Newark, New Jersey. So
but the problem was he sent us to New Jersey because my asylum was in New York. So the judge said you gotta go back to UCIS, and where is your restriction? And we don't have restriction here for you. I'm gonna do a favor. I'm gonna dismiss the case for you, but you have to continue with USCIS.
Okay. All right. So what would be your closest USCIS field office if it's not Newark?
Newark.
Newark. Okay. Okay. So I believe that, okay, so there's probably nothing harder to pull off in immigration land, or I would say in the top 5. One of the hardest things to pull off is to get USCIS to properly process an I-45 that was originally filed in the EOIR. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what I mean is, those are two very different agencies with different systems. And when you when you tell me things like they asked us for a refreshed 45, that scares me. The judge says he did you a favor, and I think he did, or she did, but they did you a favor, but it's also really hard to get the 45 properly over to USCIS and for them to properly process it. Right?
Yes.
And also just generally, when you're talking about getting as far back from a withholding of removal in 22 years ago all the way till now, to think that everything is going to follow along properly and that it's going to go along, I think at some point, RT, you will have to sue them to get a decision.
That's my question is.
Yeah.
And how soon I can do that?
Well, I mean, your 45 has been on file for a year and 3 months. Mm-hmm. My question is, when did the lawyer drop off the stuff?
Hold on a second.
Just roughly.
Okay, so March 25th.
Okay, so just a week ago.
Yeah.
So in order to...
I'm sorry. We received the email on February 18 and we drop it off February 25th. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So in order to save you money, I might wait. I mean, we could do it today if you want, but in order to save you money, to give them the chance to see if it actually sorts, I would say 90 days after he dropped it off or she dropped it off, and then go from there.
90 days. Okay.
I mean, it's not a science, it's an art, right? But like I said, we could do it today, but yes. I think just to save you $6,000, I would do it at the 90-day mark. But I think probably ultimately you're going to be calling me back or emailing me and saying, Jim, let's go.
Okay. And how safe I am?
Safe? Oh, brother, you've walked back from the brink of deportation.
Yes,
you're as good as
I'm came from the dead. I know that.
Yeah, you're as good as it goes. So if that's a good point. So if you're more worried about things and you want to sue today, let's do it. That's a good point.
All right. Okay.
Good job, man. You're doing great. You're so close.
Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you so much. You have no idea. I've been watching the show every time you're live, and I've been in line, but I was not lucky to get like today. But thank you so much for your time.
And we're ready to go whenever you are. Thanks, RT. Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Hey, Jim. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks. Again, thank you so much for hosting this show every day. You're a lifesaver.
Sure.
I had one more question regarding my upcoming I-751. Two questions, actually. So if my wife and I get a supplementary credit card for her, just before filing the I-751, and we take pictures of our credit cards and, with our names on it, our same last names, and submit that as a piece of evidence, do you think that is a good idea?
Sure, and I would include the mail that delivers the card because that'll have both your addresses at the same address. So I would include both. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what I know there's a YouTube video I can go look for, but from the top of your head, the most valuable pieces of evidence for a bona fide ongoing relationship with my wife.
Oh, I like this. So hold on, I'm going to make this a video next week. What marriage evidence is the best
for an I-751?
Yeah, I think it's the same for both. But for a 751, we could do that. All right, so I actually had a little bit of a friendly debate with some other immigration attorneys on LinkedIn a while ago. I said putting a big chunky baby in their car seat on the officer's desk was the best, but I think most people disagreed with me and said, no, we think that the most important thing is the commingling of assets. The commingling of assets, right? So actually putting your money into the same account, using that. And so I think that, and because if you think about it from their point of view on a 751, they want to see that the marriage has developed. They understand that sometimes when you file for your spouse originally, that they might not have a social security number. They might have come on ESTA or a visa, or they might be a student and not have a social security number. They understand that you can't do all that stuff at first on the original go around, but after 2 years, I think they sort of hold you to a higher standard. They want to see that you're living together as spouses, that you're sharing a life, that you've gone on trips together, that you've made major purchases, that both your names are on a house or a car or things like that. I think those are I would say children, attempts at children. So if somebody's pregnant or had a miscarriage, the commingling of funds and big purchases, I would say those are the big ones.
So the first one, we haven't gone into that stage in our life yet.
Sure.
I'm sure USCIS will understand.
Yeah.
The second one, we have one shared bank account, but literally I'm the one who contributes to it, but she doesn't contribute to it, but I use it to pay our bills, our electricity, our rent, so it's for both of us, and that is okay to supply.
Is that because she doesn't work?
She does work. That bank account has both of our names on it. We both have debit cards on that bank account, but she doesn't contribute money to that bank account, only I do, and I pay like all the major bills. Is that still sufficient to provide?
It is, because it shows you live together, but it's not as good.
But it's better than nothing. So you'd advocate for that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, if there's one account that's paying for both people's bills, I think that is good. But I think they might say, well, hey, sister, why don't you put your money in the bank account?
She has her own bank account to which her income goes to.
Yeah. I would think they'd say, why are you not commingling it? That seems like, is she the U.S. citizen or is she the immigrant?
She's the U.S. citizen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that so much. I don't know that I like the immigrant paying all the bills out of the immigrant's income and the U.S. citizen sitting pretty and keeping all of her own money. That seems transactional to me.
I mean, she's on all of my
Yeah, but that's not the same thing. I understand what you're saying, but let's say worst perspective ever, you're paying her bills so that she can get you your 10-year green card. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but that's how they view things.
Okay, for certain that's not happening, but how should I present this then to them when I submit my I-751?
I think you're stuck with what you got because it sounds like it's time to file, right?
Very soon, yes.
Yeah, so that would have been better 2 years ago. That's what you should have done somewhere along the line in the last 2 years. You're probably going to apply for citizenship in the next 3 years or the next year. So I would say at some point you probably need to have a discussion about what you guys are doing with your finances. It just seems a little strange.
Well, I mean, does the fact that she's on all of my retirement accounts as a beneficiary and all that good stuff?
That's all good, but what I'm saying is it's not as good. Certainly still approvable, but it might get questions at the interview. And I think you guys got to be ready to talk about it intelligently and explain why all of her money is kept separate from you. That's, like I said, it sounds transactional.
Well, how would one answer said question when
By telling the truth. By telling the truth. What's the answer?
the truth is, I mean, we never really talked about it. Honestly, we've never really talked about like depositing our cash into one checking account. We believe, I mean, I try to avoid risk, so in a way it's backfired, but I'm like, if we have multiple bank accounts and if for whatever reason one gets hacked or something, at least we have another one.
No, that seems silly. That and you just gave the worst possible answer, which is we haven't talked about it. Because again, that sounds transactional. I mean, you have to remember, I'm being Jim, the immigration lawyer. I'm being Jim, the immigration officer. If I hear you say, "Well, we haven't really talked about it," I'm like, "Well, what in the hell do you guys talk about? You guys don't talk about your money? That seems weird, right?"
Oh, we talk about our money all the time. It's just like there's a very mutual understanding of like she's working part time in a retail store. I'm the main breadwinner, so there's a. Go ahead, sorry.
But when you say we haven't talked about it, that's not good.
About like having or contributing to the same bank account, yeah, we've not talked about that. That is true.
Yeah, and I mean, just remember, think of it from their perspective. They think that every immigrant who's applying for an immigration benefit is cheating the system, especially now, right? And so they think, boy, isn't this strange? He pays all of her bills and she pays none. She keeps all her money. And and when I asked them about it, they gave me these squirrely answers about how they've never really talked about it.
Well, she pays like a few bills. I mean, I don't know if that's any justification, like some subscriptions and whatnot for both of us.
Yeah.
But does that help? Like, or like,
no. The fundamental question is why a husband and wife aren't putting their money into the same account.
Okay, I'll talk to her about it, and then we'll have a discussion tonight, and then
I think we have to understand too, and this is why I asked. I think that we have to that one of the important aspects of it is you're the immigrant and she's the U.S. citizen. If it was the other way around, I think it'd be a lot more acceptable. I mean, to me, I would have that conversation. I'd have that conversation probably 3 times before we file it and be ready to talk about it if we get an interview. But I might fall back on, I'm just sort of traditional dude and be sort of like a male chauvinist pig and say, I just think the man should pay for everything. And that her little job, it's just more for fun, not for real. The real money that we're talking about is the money that comes out of my account and we both have access to it. So shut the fuck up.
I mean, we've actually, it's what you said is kind of has been the mindset. I remember we had this one conversation where I'll pay all the bills and her money will be the fun money for our vacations and all that stuff. I remember that. But I don't know how to justify it. Like, do I just say, oh, we have a plan of like where?
No, I mean, as always, I mean, you advocated pretty well with me. You advocated pretty well. You're like, well, she's still my named beneficiary on everything. Yeah. We are on all the accounts. We both have access. To me, it's all about who has the access to the account. It's not like she's hoarding her money. And truth be told, I tease Imani all the time because there's money Imani has. I don't know where it is. It's not a lot, but she has money. Like she like mysteriously shows up with $100 bills sometimes. And I'm always like, what the heck? So I would say, that part of that is just that, but I would sort of, I mean, have a good couple discussions, see what it looks like, and maybe you can tweak things up a little bit. But at the end of the day, I don't think this is a deal killer. I think it's certainly approvable. Okay. But the most important thing is going to be how you frame it.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely take that into consideration. So the first valuable thing was a kid, which we don't have. The second was the mingling of assets and all that. And what was the third one again? Sorry.
Big purchase or big commitments, like a long lease or a house.
Oh yeah. We have our rental contract. We bought some concert tickets. She bought me a birthday gift recently. So we'll have those receipts.
I think you're fine.
Okay, perfect. Cool. I'll talk to her, and then I'll probably hop on the show another day, and then maybe she might even speak with you. She'll be nervous as hell, but
We always like to have a side character. Thank you, Daniel.
all right. Thanks, man.
Bye, buddy. Ravina, hello.
Hi, Mr. Jim. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thank you for helping us all out in this situation that we're all in.
My pleasure.
I'm going to. I'm talking on behalf of a family friend of mine,
Perfect.
and so they came into this She came into this country in 2005 as a tourist, and then transferred under a dependent of her husband's H1 visa. So she was under H4 at that time. So she went from tourist to H4 along with her two kids. And in 2012, her husband passed away. She ended up overstaying her visa.
By just a bit.
I'm sorry?
By just a bit.
Yeah. I mean, no, by many years.
15 years. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yes. So in 2023, around this time, March, she married a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Sorry, 2024. My mistake. Sorry, 2024. She married a U.S. citizen, and she applied for her adjustment of status in January this year. So she got a receipt from USCIS on January 27th.
Okay.
Of 2025.
Yeah.
And within a couple of weeks, she got an appointment for biometrics. She did her biometrics, and that was on, I think, February 21st. And on March 19th, a few days ago, she has directly received an interview notice for next month.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah, it is pretty fast. And she lives in the United States Virgin Islands. It's known to be a little faster because I'm not sure if that's true or not, but
probably because there's not a lot of people getting green cards in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
I'm sorry?
Probably because there aren't that many people applying for green cards in the U.S. Virgin Islands, so I would think it would be fast.
Well, maybe that, but at the same time, they didn't give her Social Security, which she applied for, the EAD. They didn't give her that. The interview came in almost 2.5 months. Being in the Virgin Islands, you know a little bit of things, and we also have understood that a lot of cases in Florida and Miami are also going that fast. And a couple of days ago, we saw in the news that they detained people at their interview in Miami. And I saw a lot of people like posting the same thing, that their interview got scheduled really fast, and they're in the Florida area, which is very close to U.S. Virgin Islands. So she's been in the country for a long time. She is very nervous in this kind of situation, when they're saying they're going to just detain you at the interview and call you for an interview, does something sound... What is your suggestion on that?
So is her interview going to be in Florida or in the Virgin Islands?
In the Virgin Islands. So
I think she's probably not going to get lopped into that approach to things. I do think, I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. So, some people might think that this publicity that CBP is getting, I'm shifting gears here to make my point, okay? Some people might think that the publicity that CBP is getting about these green cards they're detaining, about that actress from Canada that didn't get her TN, some people might think that this publicity is something that the government doesn't really want. But in fact, they really do want this publicity. They really want people to be scared. They really want people to be freaked out. And they want people who have been in the United States out of status for 13 years, who are going to their green card interview, to be scared about the possibility of getting taken into custody, right? So it's a feature, not a bug. It's not by accident that those stories made the news, right? So I do think that we might start seeing selective places and random spouses of U.S. citizens who've been in the country for a long time out of status getting put into removal and detained at a USCIS interview, right? So I think people need to start getting their minds around that. I've been telling my team that we need to start preparing our attorneys on what to do if that happens. To me, to me, if I were there and that started happening, the one thing I would ask is, can we do the I-130 discussion while the person's still here? Because I'd want to get that I-130 approved. That's what I'd be focused on. So if I'm someone in your friend's situation, number one, there's no way in hell I'd go to an interview without a lawyer. Number two, I would be prepared for the fact that I might not come home with my spouse that day, but I would know in the long run that I'm going to get to stay in the United States. I'm not going to be deported. That I shouldn't be deported, that they should allow the I-130 to process, and they could adjust in court. She's been here 13 years, so she's not subject to expedited removal. She's going to get to see a judge, and she's going to get out on bond. So it might be very uncomfortable, but the stakes have gotten a lot higher to actually get that green card if you are out of status. So you're going to be much more scared when you go to the USCIS office, and there's a chance that you get taken into custody. They should not deport you. You should get to see a judge, and you should have a long-term approach of being able to stay here. You have a path to stay. Again, this is why this person shouldn't have waited until January of this year to file. They should have filed the day after they got married. But I think this is just now the new reality that we're in.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate that. And do you think, I mean, I don't know much about this, but are there options to reschedule the interview?
Why would they do that?
I don't know. No. I mean, she would want to request a reschedule.
Right. Why would she do that? That's just kicking the can down the road.
I mean, to better understand what is going on, because this news has recently come up about they picking up people at the interview.
I think this is the new reality. I think that spouses of U.S. citizens who are out of status are going to have to face the fact that when they go in for their interview, they might get put into removal. So she can't ever get into status if she doesn't get that I-130 approved, and the I-130 is not going to be approved unless she shows up to an interview. Right. Without that approved I-130, she is deportable. Without that approved I-130, she has nothing keeping her here. So she has to take the risk and go to the interview and be prepared to bond her out, be prepared to sit in immigration detention for a week or two, hopefully, and then see what happens.
So now, okay, I understand that. Thank you. And so the thing is, like you said, right, everybody now going into an immigration office is going to be already freaked out. They're going to be scared to go in there no matter what, right? So if they're nervous, her and her husband, and, something goes wrong in the interview, what happens then?
Well, what do you mean something goes wrong? They don't answer the questions right?
Yeah, maybe, so she has being in the U.S. Virgin Islands, you really cannot even leave the U.S. Virgin Islands to go to another state because you have to pass customs.
Yeah.
And she has not left in basically 18 years. She's been on a small little place for 18 years. She's already mentally very exhausted and afraid of officers, which she has not seen in years. So, there are chances she might just get nervous for no reason just looking at them.
Yeah.
And you might.
I went to a naturalization interview this week with someone who has nothing to be nervous about. He's this close to becoming a citizen, and he was scared to death.
Yeah.
He didn't even have any chance of getting taken into custody. So I get it, but I mean, to me, it's like in the Bible, she's got to walk through the valley of darkness to get to the light, right? And I think having a lawyer, Robert's right, bringing in an attorney will really help her anxiety. I think going in there with just my spouse who's well-intentioned but just doesn't know anything. I also think they might be a little less aggressive if there's a lawyer there.
Okay, so if there's a lawyer, but they can still detain her like what they did in Miami, or
Sure.
right? They
Sure.
can. They can still do whatever they want.
Yep.
Wow, it's so. I don't know what to say, but thank you, Mr. Jim. I really one more question. So for some reason, something happens and she does decide to reschedule it. If God forbid an emergency happens and they do reschedule it, what are the consequences?
Well, they might just deny it, and they might just come looking for it. Like let's say that they're planning on the day of her interview to take her into custody and to start removal proceedings against her. Let's say that's true. If she doesn't show up for her interview and reschedules it, then those guys are just going to leave the office and just go over to her house. So I don't think that does anything.
So rescheduling is not suggested. Even if it's somebody's sick, what happens?
Well, I just made a video that if you miss your interview for whatever reason, even valid reasons, who are sick, that puts you to the top of the fraud chart. I think they think that if they smell blood, if you don't show up for your interview, even if somebody's sick, they smell blood and then they get more aggressive, not less. So I would not miss the interview.
And I know I don't want to take too much of your time. I know there are a lot of other people are waiting, but recently, have you seen anything go wrong in any of your cases at the interview, something like this?
No, not yet, but I want my lawyers to be ready. That's what I want to talk about with the firm on Monday. No, but I think it's going to start.
Oh my God. And it's going to start exactly when they have to go. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Jim. I really, really appreciate it.
You got it. Good call. That was a good call. Lots of people are having those same questions she had. That's why I was more than happy to ask or answer all the questions that she had, because a lot of people are having those exact same concerns, and I probably need to make a video about that. But I'm done making videos for today. I'm just doing the show.
Hello, Jim. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing?
I'm great, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. First of all, I'd like to thank you while you're doing this while fasting in the Ramadan.
Oh, it's my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite thing to do. It totally resets my brain during Ramadan. It's great.
We really appreciate you, what you're all doing for our community.
Sure.
So, Jim, I'm calling in behalf of my friend. I have just a couple questions. I'm not going to take a lot of time. So, I have a friend who came here with J1 student visa last year, and he met with an American girl in the place that he was working, but things wasn't serious that much in those times. And then he decided to apply for change of status to tourist visa. He was planning to travel the United States before going back to his country. And in the letter that he sent to the USCIS, he said, I would like to, he actually made a travel plan. He said, I'm gonna go here, I have enough money and all these stuffs. And they actually approved his change of status like a month ago. And they gave him time for like 6 months. He still has time for the tourist visa, but things got serious with with his American girlfriend. And then he decided to live with her. They actually got an apartment together for 1 year lease, and they actually started to make their life together. And actually,
Did he do all the things he promised to do when he got the extension?
so he actually traveled in the same state with his girlfriend, but he didn't go to all those places that he said he will go, like that travel visa specific places that he said he will go. He didn't do those.
Did in the time that he was doing the tourism, was he with her the entire time?
Was he what?
Was he with her the entire time?
Yes, sir, he was.
Okay. All right. And just real quick, before I forget, on the J1, was he subject to Rule 212E or not?
He was, but he got a waiver actually, and he started the process for waiver. But then I think USCIS made an explanation. He said his country is not on the list anymore, so he actually got the waiver suspended. I mean, the waiver doesn't, the 2-year rule is not applying to him anymore.
Okay. All right. I'd want to take a look at that and be 100% sure, because that's going to keep him from getting a green card if that's not accurate.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Someone else told me that the other day too. What country was it?
He was from Turkey.
Yeah. Somebody else told us that about Turkey the other day. Okay. All right. So now he's jacked up. He's got okay. Here's another good question. I don't know if you saw me cringe when you said they got a lease together. How long into his visit did they get a lease together?
So he applied for tourist visa towards the end of his visa, which was around October. But
then he got the lease.
No, he got the lease at the beginning of this year. But before that, they started to live together anyway. Like they were started.
But towards the end of the visit is when he got the lease. It wasn't at the beginning. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
No, sir. It was at the January 1st that they got the lease. Okay. But before that, they were living together anyways in the small apartment that he was living.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so what's the question?
My question, the things that he said he will do, like those travel plans, would that be a problem to USCIS? Would they say you made those plans because you just wanted to not to be illegal here, but you actually like
I
you
think
didn't make?
I understand what you're asking me. I think they would frame it a little bit differently. Would you like me to tell you how I think they'd frame it?
Yes, please.
I think they'd frame it, hey, you applied for a change of status from J1 to B1, B2, and you said that you were going to go to all these places. Now we find out that you have this girlfriend. Now we find out that you have a lease. Now we find out that you filed for a green card, and we didn't know about that girlfriend. We think that's a misrepresentation and you might need a waiver. I think it's a close call. But I think in Trumplandia, that's something that they could try to pull. It might go right through. They might not make a big deal about it at all. But if you get a frisky officer at your green card interview, I could see them hitting him pretty hard with that and trying to beat him up for not doing what he said he was going to do. I think that's going to be a real theme that we're seeing with any kind of non-immigrant visa stuff, that they're going to go back. They are going back and they're looking at what you said you were going to do versus what you did. Like, I was talking to that guy the other day. He said he was coming to do tourism and his girlfriend picked him up from the airport and they shacked up that night. So I think this one's a little grayer, a little fuzzier, and I think he might have a little bit more wiggle room, but he's going to need a good lawyer when he files for a green card. And he's really going to have to be well prepared to explain how things changed and why he didn't do those things. I might even throw one other thing out there. I might still go ahead and visit some of those places, even if it's with her now, even if it's late. And maybe there's a discussion to be had about how I got distracted with my hormones got me distracted and I was hanging out with her, but we still really did end up going to see the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was clear enough. Thank you very much, Jim. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben. Good luck, buddy. It's an interesting dilemma. I'd love to hear how it rolls out at the end.
I'll send the email to you how it goes. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks, man. See ya.
Hello, good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. And you? I want to thank you for everything that you are doing for all of us here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
I have a really long case, but I'm trying to be short. I moved to the US in 2012 with the F1 visa, and I met my first wife, and we get married in 2015. We went to the interview, and we got 2 interviews. The interview went south, and after that, we stay for 1 year together, and we get divorced. And I met my current wife, and we get married in 2019. In 2021, we went to the interview, and they said that they don't have any doubt with my current marriage, but they suspect that my first marriage was a fraudulent marriage, and for those reasons, they couldn't give me my the green card. But since that time, we are battling, and now we file an appeal, and it's been more than a year now. We are still waiting, no answer. I don't know. And we put my country on the TPS. Now I have the TPS that's expire in June. I don't know what to do. I'm totally lost.
Well, the first question is, you said that your interview went south on the first case. That can mean lots of things. Why don't you tell me what actually happened at the interview?
When we get to the interview, we get separated, and we have some discrepancy between our answer. That was the first one, and we scheduled a second one. We didn't have a lawyer. This was a mistake.
Like what mistakes did you make?
Not on my side, but on my wife's side, because
you're on the same side. You're on the same side. So if your answers don't match, it doesn't matter who it was. So, like, what were some examples?
She, for example, she made a mistake regarding my mom name, my mom names. She made a mistake regarding the 24 hours question.
What's the 24 hours question?
What we did the day before we came to the interview and that morning.
Well, how'd she get that wrong? How'd she get that wrong? That's bizarre.
That was something really bizarre, and when I received that, but yeah, I don't have I'm just summarizing what happened the first interview, but the second interview went well, but they are keep bringing back the first interview. And until today, the letter that they sent me with my current was stating that they have no doubt about our relationship right now, but they also they are believing that the first marriage was a fraudulent marriage.
Right. So let me ask you a couple more questions. So other than your answers not matching at the interview, do you know if USCIS did a deeper investigation into that first marriage? Like, did they go back?
Oh, I forgot to mention that part. Yes, they came to I don't know. They came to the place that I was living with my wife, my first wife, to see if we are really living together. And at that time, my wife was in. She went to visit her family in Mississippi. She questioned the neighbor. The neighbor say, "Hey, yes, we know them. We saw Jennifer here, and yes."
Okay. So do you know if she said bad things about you to immigration after you got divorced?
Not on my knowledge.
Okay. All right. So what's the question?
Now, I don't know if I have to keep pushing or because I consult a lawyer here, she told me that my best bet with what happened is just to admit that my first one was a fraudulent marriage and apply for a waiver.
Well, that might be true, but here's the thing. Why do you want to keep pushing this? Why do you want, I mean, to me, if your TPS is running out and you have a pending case, at least you're here in the United States with your spouse. I would lay low. I wouldn't push anything. I wouldn't admit anything until I would admit anything until later on. I would go as slow as I can. I wouldn't be in any hurry for anything. I'd be glad that I'm here. I assume, do you have a work card or you don't have a work card? Probably not.
Yeah, with yes, with my TPS, I have the working permit. I'm working right now.
So I don't know, man. I wouldn't push this case out. I mean, I have a video on the YouTube channel about marriage number 2 is golden, marriage number 1 is a stink bomb, and
Okay.
they can deny. Once they think you commit immigration fraud, you could have a 21-year-old son who's sponsoring you, and you don't get a benefit because of the fraud. So it's a really big deal.
Okay. All right. And about the extension of the TPS, do I still have? I'm qualified for the extension of 480 days.
If you're eligible for it, apply for it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jim.
Bye, buddy.
Well, there you have it. Another edition of the Best of the Immigration Answers Show. Again, my name is Jim Hacking. I'm an immigration attorney practicing law throughout the United States, out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. If you want to get a hold of us at the firm, you can email us info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com, or you can call us at 314-961-8200. You also can join our free Facebook group. It's called Immigrant Home. We'd love to have you join us there. There's thousands of immigrants talking about the immigration process in there every single day. We also have our YouTube channel where you can subscribe to see all of our videos and to get alerted whenever we go live, whenever we're going to record another episode of the Immigration Answer Show. Maybe you could be a guest and ask us a question. Finally, if you're not following us on TikTok, we suggest you do @Immigration Hacking. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.